number can be squared including fractions. If we want to square an entire fraction, it needs to be in parentheses. Dat tells us we're going to square the numerator and square the denominator. So here we want to square 2/3. So that means our numerator would be 2 squared, which is worth 4, and our denominator would be 3 squared, which is worth 9. So 2/3 squared would be worth 4/9. Similar process would take place if we want to take the square root of a fraction where both the numerator and the denominator are a perfect square. We would have the square root of the numerator over the square root of the denominator. So if we want to take the square root of 9/16, for our numerator, we would take the square root of 9, which would be 3, and then for our denominator, we would take the square root of 16, that would be 4. So the square root of 9/16 would be 3/4. What happens if we want to take the square root of a fraction, but both the numerator and the denominator aren't perfect squares? Well, let's look at the square root of 1/3. In our numerator, the square root of 1 is 1, but the square root of 3 is an irrational value. Remember, all fractions are division problems, and we can't divide by an irrational number. This is where rationalizing the denominator comes in. That means we need to make an equivalent fraction with our rational number now in the denominator. To do this, we're going to start by multiplying by 1. So we're going to take our 1 over the square root of 3 and multiply that by 1. 1 is our multiplicative identity, so anything multiplied by 1 is itself. To multiply it by a fraction, though, we need to change our 1 into a fraction itself. In this case, we're going to change it into a very specific fraction by using our irrational number as both the numerator and the denominator. So now we can go ahead and multiply. In our numerator, we have 1 times the square root of 3, and in the denominator, we have the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, which would give us the square root of 9. Now we can simplify. 1 times anything is itself, so our numerator is the square root of 3. Our denominator is the square root of 9, which is 3. So when we rationalize our denominator, the square root of 1/3 comes out to be the square root of 3 over 3. Check out the other videos in our playlist and don't forget to click on subscribe. Thanks for watching!